Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast from Born Without Boundaries Tarot here on Astrology Motivation, where I will go over the major transits, planetary transits. That means where the planets are moving in terms of the zodiac, which zodiac sign they're in, as well as the major planetary aspects, which means how many degrees, the relationship between where they are to each other, and what that means. This is a big week because we have a very particularly special full moon. And the reason it's special is actually many reasons. Number one, it is a full moon lunar eclipse. So usually when the moon is bright, this moon will have momentary darkness. Eclipses usually mean change or dynamic change, but really they're change in the way you feel about something and the way that you see things. And they could offer a lot of relief when you think things are going to be terrible, and they end up not being terrible at all. They end up being actually very beautiful. This full moon is also very, very special because it is in it is conjunct to, it is in direct opposition. No, let's go back. This full moon is also very special because it is conjunct Uranus. And when the moon conjuncts Uranus, this gets us into a particularly interesting, unique, weird kind of howl at the moon, don't do anything standard, almost feel like being different, feel like you want something different, feel good about being different, or just, yes, like being drawn to things that are unusual in nature. But this full moon is conjunct Uranus, is in direct opposition to something very special as well. It's the Sun conjunct Mercury and Venus at the same time. And that's a very strong, very uplifting energy, but ironically, it's in the sign of Scorpio. And that's not an uplifting, generally speaking, an uplifting energy unless you consider resurrection uplifting, which it very much is. But it really deals with total destruction in order to rise from the ashes and burn away all the old and begin again completely new. That's what Scorpio teaches us. It's the beauty of life and the continuity of life, and how we're allowed to burn off the past through learning from the past and become something completely different than we were because we've traveled the road that we have. So what is this all, how does this all culminate? Well, you know, there's a lot of other things going on in the cosmos at the same time that this full moon is happening. So we have a beautiful trine between Saturn and Mars. Mars is in retrograde, which is also very important because it kind of cues us in that the work has already been done. It's not going to matter how much we try to move forward now or try to push ourselves. It's not the time for pushing. It's a time for reviewing how our actions have impacted our lives and have they gotten us where we want to go. This leads me to the buildup of this really special time, which is Uranus opposite the Sun. It's sort of that time when you question, have I done all I can do? And what changes do I want to make to my life? Or are there any changes that I want to make to my life purpose? Here is the irony of what's going on right now. And we'll get into the other planets a little bit later. Here is the irony of what's going on right now. The irony of what's going on right now is that right now, in fact, for the past 3 years, and for the next 3 years, I think it's till 2026, Uranus is going to be in Scorpio. Uranus is in Taurus. What does that mean? That means that for anybody born between the years, I wrote this down, born between the years of 1975 and 1981, so people who are between the ages of 41 years old and 47 years old, are having what we would call a Uranus opposition. So your natal Uranus is opposite from where Uranus is now, because our natal Uranus is in Scorpio. And that means it's in direct opposition to where Uranus is now. Now, this is a game-changing point where a lot of people, drum roll please, go through what they call a midlife crisis. It is honestly usual for people to start questioning, have I done enough? Have I done what I wanted to do? All those things that you never got to do or felt like you should have done, or if they come back to the surface and you go after them because you feel like you have to catch up or you feel like you've missed something. And the point right now with all this energy around what's happening is that there's a lot of people going through that right now. This is the end of Generation X that's going through this circumstance in their life right now. So if you have been feeling or been surrounded by people who have been making serious changes in their life and going in different directions and surprising you, it is because there is this Uranus opposition that is happening for people between the ages of 41 and 47. That's what's going on right now. It's huge in a person's life because it really makes you think of how far have I gotten off of the path that was my life purpose, or that God assigned to me, or that I was supposed to go, and now how desperate am I to catch up? So the more desperate you are to catch up and the more reactionary you are to this moment in your life, I guarantee you it's directly proportional to how authentic your life has been and how have you lived authentically to who your heart wanted you to be. And for those of you who did not take that path, you're going through major freakouts right now, or you're living with somebody who is, who desperately wants to regain their youth because they wasted it. They didn't go the path that they really wanted to go for a myriad of reasons. And so this is a time when it's common for people to get divorces, for people to buy cars or things that they can't afford. What's interesting about right now for everybody going through this Uranus opposition or this midlife crisis, that's everybody between the ages of 41 and 47, we have this full moon that is, and we have this conjunction. So not only is Uranus opposite your natal Uranus, but what is conjunct your natal Uranus is the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, as well as the South Node. So this is an extra impactful time where you put the pedal to the metal and demand change. What's really interesting with the other now it's not just those people, midlife crisis people going through it, but I think it's the first time that we all, in a way, globally, are experiencing a rememory of amnesia, of remembering who the fuck we are and what we're capable of, as opposed to, forgetting it. So it doesn't really matter what age you are, you're feeling the same symptoms that somebody would be feeling around the age of their midlife crisis because of this global context. This energy is impacting everybody right now, but most especially it will be impacting those people born with Uranus in Scorpio. This will bring back some major changes for you, and I think you'll do some major changes. Let me say not for you, because that implies that the universe is going to do shit for you, and it's not. It's going to bring back major changes. It's going to bring around major changes to you. You will change what you value. You will change how you feel. Your relationship with money will change dramatically. Your relationship with information or the way that you think will start to change dramatically. You will become somebody that you may not recognize, but you definitely think is familiar, because this is somebody that you've gotten away from, and it's almost like you got away from them in order to be a better version of yourself when you did come back around. And this really is the coming back around period. It is definitely, I think, a check-in period for all of us to say, how far away from our goals and who we wanted to be are we? Let's go a little bit into Chiron's position here. I hate the word, but it's so I call it a sesquicile. Essentially, your Chiron is in a challenging aspect to this conjunction between the Sun and Mercury, especially. And I think that's bearing down on us even more heavily. How have we messed up? How have we felt we've messed up? The pain and suffering that we've gone through because we've messed up, or because we feel like we didn't achieve something, or didn't get far enough, or didn't do all that we felt we could. So there could be a lot of feelings of not just guilt and shame, but regret and need to rectify the situation, reconcile the situation, if only for knowing sake, if only for giving or finding some sort of resolution. We also have, especially to this full moon, squares between Neptune. No, I think by that point it's not squared anymore. But in the beginning of the week, it's really interesting because we start off with a lot of squares to Jupiter and Neptune, and then we end up with trines to Jupiter and Neptune. So what once challenged us, especially all those aspirations of Jupiter and all those dreams of Neptune and all those ways maybe we deceived ourselves. A lot of what this full moon, therefore, will reveal is what was just dreams and what was actually something that mattered to us. Were we just deceiving ourselves? Were we just making ourselves feel good with all of these grandiose aspirations? Or were they things that really mattered to us? Because what really matters to us will most definitely become forefront to everything that's going on in the here and now. Now, could some people really experience major life changes? Yes, and I would predict that it's primarily those between the ages of 41 and 47. That you guys will be the one with the most cataclysmic or dramatic life changes that you've been experiencing. And honestly, I don't think you've been experiencing them. It'll just start now. I think it started 3 years ago. I think that you've been experiencing this over the whole 3 years. And you will continue, but this full moon will really amp up that energy, especially for you guys. And for the rest of the world, I've just felt like there's this global reconnection to our spiritual selves, as well as maybe some actual living, breathing proof of it all. Uranus is, of course, in opposition to Mercury, so I wouldn't be surprised if you've been getting like failures in tech, just real contradictions in the way things are supposed to work. But because there's something brilliant coming, there's brilliant revelations or brilliant inspiration that's going to happen. Now, a full moon is all about release. It's all about letting go. So really, what you can use this moment is let go of the regret, let go of the guilt, let go of the sadness, letting go of the suffering, letting it be complete, so that really what you're going to start to feel is lighter. Like lighter and freer, a liberation, which is what Scorpio energy brings about. Lately, all the pain and suffering that's been burying our ability to do great things or our life purpose is being washed away. But what that means is a lot of it had to come up before it was washed away. So the experience of those things has been really front and center in a lot of our lives. What this full moon is going to do is finally wash away that tension, those worries. It'll pop. Finally, things will pop. Finally, things will be very, very clear. They will be completed. They won't be looming in the background where you have to worry, when are they going to actually happen? Because they will actually happen. So around this full moon, expect crazy shit, most especially transference and how in your life purpose and what you want to do with your life, how you see yourself, and what you're okay with and what you value. I think by the end of this week, we're going to see a lot of harmony. The full moon is on Tuesday. That is November 8th. You're already feeling it, I guarantee, especially the 7th, 8th, and 9th. You'll be feeling it that whole time. It's a good time for you to check in and say, what I've done, I've done. What I can do is still in front of me. And I'm not going to waste my time on regret, because that's the biggest deception of all. This sense of I should have done something before I knew how to do it, or before I knew I was capable of doing it, or that in some way, shape, or form I've actually wasted time. And you haven't wasted time. You've learned. And you've become the person you were meant to be to get what you're about to get. You weren't ready beforehand. You weren't ready to meet that person. You weren't ready to have that job. You weren't ready to start on that path to entrepreneurship. You weren't ready. You weren't that person. I think this energy will bring about exactly what you need, which is you being ready to be all that you really can be, and having experienced those things that push you to the point of no return where you don't want to be anything else. Remember, what you're going to be experiencing now is real transformation. Caterpillar to butterfly. You can't go back. You can't make a decision to revert back. No, there's no going back, because there's no past anymore. From this point on, it really just is the future, and especially where you are now. And there's a release in that. There's a release. You're not obligated to be anything that you used to be. You're not obligated to hold on to and anything that is cumbersome or weighing you down, but especially those regrets, those thoughts, and those dreams, especially with that Jupiter-Neptune square to Mars. There's a sense of all those self-deceptions, all those ways we've deceived ourselves by trying to say, oh, if it was different, it would have been different. This is like, get rid of that, because it's just too cumbersome, and it's just such bullshit, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is the resources that you have now. And many of you, and I think most especially those of you who were born between 1975 and 1981, your resources will drastically change. I don't know if it's for better or worse, but your resources are going to drastically change. Venus is there. It rules money. It rules luxury. It rules sensuality. It rules those things that we value. So your sense of value will change a great deal, and where you put your set of values. You know, what house is this all happening in for you? That's a good thing to look for. Scorpio is my second house, because Libra is my first. So Uranus is in my second house, and so that has to do with finances, financial turn of events, value, what I value, how I spend money, where I put my money, what I do with money. There will be a lot of like real hard life lessons that I'll be learning now, and things will come full circle. I also think that with Mars retrograde, there's this sense of most of the hard work has already been done. And it's not as bad as you think it is. And you don't have to overreact. And it's really almost a blessing that Mars is in retrograde, because it makes it more difficult for us to overreact. And we shouldn't, because the universe is really taking care of things for us. And it's really doing a review of the things that it rushed past, because it was so intent on getting things done quickly. So often we're just so systemic, and systemic is bad because it is complacency. It's complacency with logistics. It's complacency with a routine, and it's those things that are really going to fall apart and break apart and demand that we change. Saturn is and has been square to both nodes almost this whole year, which is a karmic change, a karmic twist of events. It's a growing up period, a maturation period. And for those of you, once again, who have that opposition between where Uranus is now and where Uranus is in your natal chart, these are huge life adjustments that you're going through. I mean, not all Uranus oppositions or midlife crises come along with an extended Saturn square both north and south nodes. There is some sort of twist of fate or destiny that's happened in every single aspect of all of this. And it's almost like, in some ways, I don't think a lot of you really understood who you even were supposed to be, or really if your world had room for it. But I don't think you're waiting for your world to have room for it now. There's a lot of activations that are going on now. This isn't just midlife crisis stuff. This is open-minded awareness of the truth and reality of our existence kind of stuff. And as esoteric as that sounds, they come with huge revelations that are backed by science and math. Mercury and Uranus are in opposition. This is when brilliant shit happens. I can't say it in any other way. It's when absolute brilliant shit happens. And with Saturn square Mars, whatever resources we find, we're going to know exactly what to do with them. That's a wonderful aspect, Saturn trine Mars. It's a wonderful aspect when this wonky, wacky stuff is happening, because it grounds us and it makes us more stable, and it makes us more capable of focusing on the quality stuff and what's most important to put our attention to first, and doing things long term and not wanting to rush things, especially not with Mars in retrograde. We are setting ourselves up in the most perfect way for a global transition that favors the broadening and expansion of the populace, the community, of connectivity to one and all. I do not mean communism. I do not mean socialism. This isn't actually even a political conversation. This is our God-given right to be connected to one another and break down all those divides that have existed between us for so long. It's almost like we don't give a fuck. We don't care about the differences. All we can now start to see is connectivity. Probably because we're just so sick of being piecemealed. It's like the more we label others, the more we label ourselves, the more we pin ourselves into boxes, the more we create boxes, the more we end up getting stuck in them. And we're so just fucking done. We are just absolutely done. And this full moon is going to let us get rid of all the convoluted craziness that we are done with. So especially if you guys are that age, this full moon is going to impact you crazy. It's going to have crazy impact on everything that you are in your life in general. But there's a rebirth. There's a rebirth to this. There's a resurrection to it. It's not death or destruction. It's actually resurrection that you'll be going through. And this is like, if you were waiting for a second chance or praying for a second chance, this is your first chance the second time around. That's what it is. It's really not a second chance at what you tried before. It's what you were never able to try before. And this is when you actually get to start. This is your new beginning. And in many ways, it is your rebirth day. I love you guys so much. I would love to know what you guys are thinking or feeling about all these transits and how you've been experiencing it. Please leave comments below. I always read them, even if I can't respond to them. So please, please, please leave those comments below. Be sure you give this video a thumbs up. I know it's so easy to forget to do that on all my favorite YouTube videos. I forget to do it. And so I ask you to please do that, because you know what? It's really important for the success of the video. And remember that I do Monday through Friday a daily tarot card reading, a general reading for anybody who wants to join. So please do subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell, selecting all notifications, so that you know when I go live and can participate in those live chats. For those of you who want zodiac sign specific messages, please go and get them over on Born Without Boundaries Tarot. You will always find them every single week, 12 unique messages for the 12 unique zodiac signs, whether it's your sun, moon, or rising sign. I hope you will absolutely get there, and I will see you guys in the videos. If you're interested in any of the new merchandise I've been producing, then please find my shop on Teespring, Born Without Boundaries Tarot on Teespring. You can find the links in my bio. You can find the links. You can if you go to Born Without Boundaries Tarot, there's a store attached right to the channel, so you can find the store there. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to find the store, but just go to Teespring and search Born Without Boundaries Tarot, and you will find my store. There's a lot of great merch that I'm going to be unveiling to you guys, and I'm really excited about it. I hope you can enjoy it. I love you. Thank you so much. And through this wonderful time, I don't want anybody to be afraid, because most of these transitions that are happening are exceptionally beautiful and relieving and refreshing and cathartic. So you're going to get peace, freedom, and actually advancement from everything that you're experiencing right now. And I'm really happy for all of us. So God bless you on your journey throughout this week. I will see you guys in the videos. Bye.